Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our Friday panel on fallout from leaked electors list and concerns over personal information. But first, the fiscal road forward.
More debt, more taxes, more on the national credit card, and more interest payments for Canadians.
We're building the country strong for all, including Canada's youth, the biggest investment in apprenticeships in our history.
Debate across the aisle in the wake of this week's release of the federal government's first ever spring economic update, including a promise of billions on a strategy to train more skilled workers. Joining us now to discuss this and more, Edmonton MP Eleanor Olsky, the Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience, as well, Minister responsible for Prairies Economic Development Canada. Minister Olsky, good to see you. Welcome back.
Good to see you, Michael. Thank you so much for having me today.
All right. Before we get to the economic update, the U.S. president has authorized a new pipeline to take more Alberta oil south of the border, considered a partial revival of the Keystone XL project. How does this land with your government, especially in relation to the MOU signed with Alberta?
Well, I think it's actually very good news. And of course, the Prime Minister has said repeatedly that he wants our country to be an energy superpower. And this is certainly a step in the right direction. So we're very, very pleased with this news.
Does this negate the need for the additional West Coast pipeline being actively pursued by the Smith government?
I don't believe that it does, and we'll see. As you know, we've signed a couple of agreements already pursuant to the MOU, and I'm really optimistic that within the next short while, we'll have an update with respect to negotiations between our government and the Alberta government. And I'm optimistic that there will be another pipeline that does, in fact, move forward.
Okay, so maybe let me quickly pick up on that. To what degree is progress being made on the MOU, especially in relation to the spring economic update? The reason why we're speaking this evening.
As you know, there was an agreement with respect to methane emissions that was already reached, as well as another cooperation agreement with respect to some regulatory matters. And so it's the carbon pricing aspect that's one of the issues that remains to be resolved. There are some other issues, of course, but it's a complex MOU, and it's not surprising that it's taking some time to negotiate the balance of the terms. But both parties, like from our side, and don't want to speak for Premier Smith, but certainly she has seemed to indicate the discussions are going in a good direction as well. So as I say, I'm very optimistic about that project. And you know, it's interesting, Michael, we have a number of projects that are with the Major Projects Office at this time. So there's 15 other projects with the office and another 6 that are called transformative projects, meaning they're not quite ready yet, but they're sort of next in line. And so honestly, I'm so proud of this government because in a very short period of time, like a year, we have 15 projects plus another 6, and that's actually incredible, an incredible state of affairs. And I'm just really pleased and proud of this government for having accomplished what I think is a large number of projects on the go within, as I say, a quite short a period of time.
Okay, so let's pick up on the spring economic update. What do you feel should resonate most with Albertans about this? How do you see it making a significant difference right here in our province?
You know, Michael, I think one of the things that's really important is the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and because it will invest in some of the projects that are already with the Major Projects Office. And the other thing is it really allows Albertans as well as other Canadians to be part of Canada's economic success success, to be part of the way that we are seeking to build this country strong. So I think that fund is an incredible initiative. And I'm also really pleased with respect to what we're doing regarding Team Canada Strong and the skilled trades. I made an announcement this morning that basically echoed the PM's announcement regarding the skilled trades, and I made it at a union office this morning. And honestly, the people in attendance were tradespeople, so excited to hear that the trades will be enhanced through some additional government funding. And it's really a historic investment in trades. And of course, we can't build what we want to build, be it pipelines or trade corridors, ports, mines. We can't do any of this without proper skilled trades. And so it's an incredible opportunity for young people in Alberta to be able to pursue the trades and to be able to do so with the ability to complete a program, because at the present time it's really difficult for apprentices to stay in a program. There's a lot of people that drop out for financial reasons, and so having this support from the federal government is really being welcomed by the trade unions.
Okay, so, but how do you respond to those Albertans who say this update lacks specifics, especially where affordability is concerned? You need only look at how much the price of fuel at the pumps has increased this week alone.
So the economic statement itself is actually not a budget. It's really an update, and it's almost 200 pages long. It's a substantial update, and its purpose is really to let Canadians know what we've done with respect to Budget 2025, what targets we've hit, and where we're headed. So this is a serious government with a strong plan. And so the idea was really, as I say, to let Canadians know where we are, that we have hit our defense spending, for example, our 2%, to let Canadians know where we are with respect to major projects. And in terms of affordability, you know, we implemented a lot of measures, Michael, before this spring economic update, as you know, and so they're everything from providing 22 million Canadians with a tax break, and that was something that the Prime Minister did basically immediately upon taking office, through to so many other things like expanding dental care, expanding pharmacare. The groceries and essentials benefit that for a family of four can mean, you know, $1,900, and the pausing of the fuel excise tax. So, and there were a number of other measures, automatic tax filing for people the least able to be able to do that so that they can recover benefits that they might not otherwise get. There's so many measures that the government has taken that are affordability measures, and we took them, you know, in response to concerns of Canadians.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do so.
We're nearly out of time, but I really need to ask. It was 10 years ago this weekend, wildfire roared into Fort McMurray. As Minister of Emergency Management, how confident are you in saying progress has been made the past decade to avoid repeating a disaster of that extent?
You know, I can tell you that I've been really focused on, since taking the job as Minister for Emergency Management, really focused on, you know, where we're not doing as well as we could from a federal perspective. And I can tell you that in Budget 2025, there is $355 million set aside for the leasing of water bombers, and those an RFP went out, and we'll be making an announcement with respect to those water bombers within the next very short while. So they'll be here for this year's wildfire season, so that's great news. There were a number of other measures, including modernizing the National Public Alerting System, that will help in times of wildfires and other disasters. And just separate and apart from wildfires, I just announced a new federal government portal. It's a flooding portal. And the technical part of it is up and running, and provinces have the ability to opt in. And so when and if Alberta opts in, for example, and we're hoping that they will, citizens can type in their home address and they'll be advised as to what the flooding risk is on their property, and they can get their neighborhood flood risk as well. And we find that a lot of Canadians just aren't aware of the risk and they don't know what steps to take. Okay. So by finding this information out, there'll be other information that a homeowner can read to see what steps, like simple steps, that they can take to safeguard their homes.
Okay, we're clear out of time. We have to leave it there. As always, appreciate your time, Minister. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate yours, Michael. Thank you.
That's Edmonton MP Eleanor Olsky, Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience. From the alleged voter list breach to the pain of rising fuel prices, the testing of 120 on Highway 2, and the price of beachfront parking in Sylvan Lake. Our Primetime This Week panel is in. And joining us this evening, Ellen Parker, founder and CEO of Parker PR in Calgary, and the gentleman on the right, Tom Keenan, professor in the School of Architecture, Planning and Landscape at the University of Calgary, of course, also the author of Techno Creep. Good evening to you both. And let's begin with the building controversy over what Elections Alberta calls an illegally obtained list of Alberta voters. The focal point, a separatist group called the Centurion Project, led by David Parker, the former head of Take Back Alberta. And the organization has been using a new tool to bring in new voters.
Well, this is just publicly available data of everyone in the province that is an elector.
Oh, so data from Elections Alberta type of thing, right?
Yeah.
We have 3 million voting age Albertans in the database. Become a user of the Centurion Project app, claim your friends and family, and then take responsibility for them.
But at a Centurion Project meeting Wednesday, Elections Alberta served notice.
There is a concern that your organization is in possession of and using the list of electors.
It is a lot of personal information about Alberta voters given to every political party and MLA, and it's a list that can be traced back to one source.
If multiple people are given the exact same data set, they're actually purposely slightly different. So if there is a breach, they're able to trace it right back to the source. So that's exactly what seems to have happened here.
The Elections Alberta says the Republican Party of Alberta legitimately received a list, but its list illegitimately ended up in the hands of the Centurion Project. An emergency court injunction and cease and desist order have been filed to block the group from further using or accessing the data. Ellen, how angry do you feel Albertans should be about this? And if there is to be accountability, where might it fall?
Yeah, I think absolutely we should be angry about this. I mean, I know our information is kind of disseminated everywhere these days through the internet and our phones, but you know, we work with a lot of vulnerable populations through our not-for-profit client work, and I think this population could be really impacted by this if they want that privacy, and the leader is always accountable, in my opinion. So I do agree with a potential $100,000 fine if these folks are found guilty, or a year prison. So, you know, consequences to actions.
John, from a privacy standpoint, how worrisome a development should this be for the average Albertan?
It is a big worry because the guys who did it said, look, this is stuff you can get out of the phone book. You can get it from Canada Post. That's not true. Yes, you can probably get my address, you can get my phone number. You cannot get one key thing, which is, am I a registered elector or not? So that's key information, and people have been playing that down. It's important because if you're going out to canvass and you have a limited number of people, you can have an iPad that says, oh, let's not stop at this house. They're not even registered to vote. So it does attempt to unfairly give a leg up to one group.
Ellen, how do you see this maybe impacting the conversation around separation, if it is that Albertans end up voting on the issue in the October provincial referendum? What's the political fallout?
Yeah, well, they're operating sort of outside of formal party structure and process and policy. So potentially losing trust. I would even question if signatures are valid, potentially. So possibly losing trust among that group because, it's also quite dangerous, this whole 10X concept that David Parker has applied, saying claim your people and convince them. This kind of language feels a little bit dangerous to me. So, yeah, I think it's definitely questionable.
All right. Next up for us, pain at the pumps. Fuel prices rising as much as 35 cents a litre in cities like Calgary this week, followed from the tight supply of oil triggered by the war in Iran.
It really reflects the volatility that's happening right now. When you have reduced supply in markets that are close together, they are all reacting in a hurry right now because the pressure on supply is so intense.
And after 2 months of Middle East tensions, consumers could now see increased costs elsewhere.
When it was thought that this might be a temporary phenomenon, I think a lot of businesses ate it rather than pass it on to their customers.
While some Albertans are angry over rising prices, others are adjusting attitudes.
I can't control it. It's the way it is. If it costs $8 or $10 more, if you have to make changes somewhere else, you make changes somewhere else.
So what can you do to save on fuel? There are a couple quick and easy measures, starting with ensuring tire pressures are at the manufacturer's recommended levels.
Underinflated tires can reduce your fuel efficiency by 4%. If you were carrying around a bag of salt or sand to weigh down your car in the snow, it's time to take it out and help your fuel efficiency.
Experts also suggest avoid hard acceleration and sudden braking. Or aggressive driving can lower mileage by as much as 30% at highway speeds. Tom, what do you make of how quickly the price at the pump shot up this week?
It's pure geopolitics, but people say, do they collude? Does Esso tell Shell? They don't have to. They just look at the signs out there, or they go on Gas Buddy. So that's the first recommendation. I saw a 10-cent a liter variation if you're willing to drive another half a kilometer or so. So, that's worth doing. The point about the aggressive driving is really good. Years ago when I wrote Technocreep, I studied the progressive snapshot to see how it figured out if you could get a better insurance rate. One of the key factors was how much you hard brake and accelerate. So good driving can kind of help you out here.
Alan, what are you and your family doing maybe to contend with inflation like we're seeing and feeling? Are you checking tire pressures, easing up on the throttle?
We're not using our diesel cars much because that's very expensive. We're driving our gas vehicle more, but we've already adopted these habits to reduce our carbon footprint through carpooling, biking. My husband bikes every day to work. I walk, but we also live in inner city Calgary, so that makes it easier for us.
Yeah, I have to admit, my heavy right foot is easing up ever so slightly. Time for us, though, to take a bit of a break. When we come back, mixed reaction to speed limit testing and the hefty price of parking in Sylvan Lake. More from our Primetime This Week panel in a moment. Welcome back. Drivers on a stretch of Alberta Highway now have a green light to go a bit faster. The government is now piloting 120 kilometers an hour on a 22-kilometer long stretch of Highway 2, starting south of Leduc.
Now, during the speed pilot, we'll closely monitor traffic flow, driver behavior, and safety outcomes, ensuring that decisions are grounded in real-world data.
As rationale, the government points to a recent survey that saw nearly 70% of the 59,000 responding in favor of the higher limit, but not everyone agrees, including many in the towing industry.
It's going to cost lives. With the increase of the speed limit, it's just going to increase the danger level for any tow operators or anybody working roadside. We see near misses all the time.
The government recently implemented higher fines to crack down on dangerous driving, while the pilot project is expected to last until the end of the summer. Ellen, the government says this is all about respecting Albertans' time and that our divided highways are engineered for speeds higher than currently allowed. How does that land with you as reasoning, rationale for raising the limit to 120?
Yeah, there's a few factors to consider. The technology in our vehicles has changed significantly since these speed limits were set, so that's one thing to consider. I know in Germany, efficiency is a key metric that they factor in. So, of course, I have other opinions about this around what student drivers need to learn because of this, but I think that also the roadside team out there have a good intel on what's happening, so a pilot project might be the right approach.
Tom, where piloting this change is concerned, how much value do you feel the government can maybe extract from a 22-kilometer long stretch of the QE2?
It's going to take, if you do that 120 kilometers, it's going to take 11 minutes. So just as you get to be having fun, bingo, you're going to see the sign that takes the speed limit back down. It is a good experiment. I mean, I won't fault that. What I think is much more important, like Ellen, I've driven the Autobahn in Germany. You can go really fast on a road that's well engineered with drivers that are smart. 1 out of 2 ain't bad, right? We don't necessarily have smart drivers. I want them to bring back a relic from the 1970s. It was a thing they took around to fairs called the convincer, a sled where you would slide down a ramp and suddenly stop. It was only going 5 or 8 miles an hour. We had miles back then, but it convinced me that we should wear seatbelts and do things like that.
All right, one more topic for us. That's the talk of the town in Sylvan Lake starting today. Beachfront parking in the popular summer getaway jumps from $30 to $50 daily.
This last upgrade cost millions of dollars for washrooms and revamping the parking down here. It's all got to come out of somebody's pocket.
Well, the mayor voted against the increase, calling it too high. More money is needed for extra services.
We've added additional enforcement officers. We've added park staff with additional equipment, so vacuum backpacks for that micro litter that's really tough to get to. And we will be adding some additional washrooms.
Some businesses worry increased parking costs could have an impact.
We are always worried about the outside charges to our patrons. We never want it to be a deterrent to come to the beach. Maybe after this year, perhaps maybe the town reevaluates the actual cost to our patrons and our tourists and our locals, everybody.
For some residents, though, there is a flip side.
It could definitely help the tourists think a little more about the way that they treat a place that isn't theirs.
We're right in the middle, and it's a beautiful spot.
It is indeed. Now, residents can register to be exempt from the pay parking program. Tom, is this just one of those necessary evils that comes with being a popular tourist destination?
It's a tax on lazy people. If you go 5 or 10 minutes away, like on 49th Avenue there, the parking is free. One interesting thing I noticed, it's actually $10 an hour up to a maximum of $50 a day. The fine for parking illegally, first offense anyway, is $60. So those numbers are awfully close. So I think a lot of people are just going to take their chances.
Yeah, and Ellen, last question to you. To Tom's point, there is free parking still to be found in Sylvan Lake. It just means you have to walk a little bit. But how do you see $50 a day beachfront parking over the span of a day impacting the visitor experience there?
They'll still go. I don't think it's going to impact much of anything, to be honest with you. And I think we may see this in other locations as well, spreading maybe to Banff. Who knows?
Yeah, $50 for a full day of parking. It is a lot. It is indeed. Okay, folks, we have to leave it there. Clear out of time. Great to see you both. Thank you. Have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
Now, here are a few responses to a recent story posted by CTV News. It's about RCMP investigating leaked voter information in our province. Mephiston writes, there has to be a way to check the separatist petition now. I never signed it, and I want to be sure my name isn't in there. Lulu says, I hope the UCP government gets to the bottom of this. Voters' privacy is very important, period. But the Winter Drifter tells us, I give them permission to contact me. Nadine writes, every voter should be livid about this breach of their personal information. I'm happy the police are involved, but Dawn says cannot trust the RCMP to do the investigation. Remember, you can always have a say. Email us anytime at comments@albertaprimetime.com. That is our program for tonight. Have a great evening and a great weekend, everyone. From all of us at Alberta Primetime, thank you for watching and join us again next time.